Morning.
Morning. Where's that seated again?
Number 16.
Thanks. I wasn't sure which one of these two it was.
Yeah.
Should you go ahead and turn in 51?
No, not yet. Most people are not finished with it, so I'll check it next class.
Morning.
Morning.
Would it ever hurt you to look up from your phone every once in a while when you're sitting in your car?
Probably not. Do you want to buy?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I don't want to just go to Winter and go.
Yeah, do that.
Your dad's sitting right
Do that.
there.
Can't do that. You know. Or just yell my name, and then I'll hear it.
Or, you know, just look up from your phone. You and your dad. Is your dad playing Pokemon or something?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. Probably scrolling on Twitter.
X?
Like a normal 50-year-old. I see why it is opening.
It's like you need to get on this, sorry, ground.
Huh.
Calvin.
Excellent class.
Calvin and.
Alright, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? Oh,
Yeah.
That's
better than good. That's better than good.
I'm actually.
And you took it to
I feel
level,
rested.
you took it to level 2.
I feel rested, which is
You
surprising.
feel rested, and did you get good sleep? And that's why I feel rested, or you just feel
Honestly, I didn't, but I feel rested. I think because I took a 3-hour nap yesterday.
That's sweet. So in total with the 3-hour nap, how many
Yeah.
hours of sleep did you have got?
Like 10.
Dang. That's nice.
But it was hard to fall asleep last night. I think because I got 3 hours of nap.
11:30 last night?
No way.
That was hungry.
Seats. Where am I supposed to be sitting? Number 5. Thank you.
Wait.
Oh man, I should have told you this is this is my first day. See, I become new man this semester.
You have
This is what.
Okay. Blake, Will, Calvin, Ben, Layla, Melissa.
Good morning, Fayetteville High School. It is Monday, January 13th, 2025. Can you please join me for a minute of silence?
That's a lot.
Thank you very much. Will you please stand as you're able for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right. Good morning, guys. So part of what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask you to go back and try to finish up the assignment from last class, which was 51. There was a few questions we didn't get to, and so I told you didn't have to worry about it for homework, but I'm going to give you some more class time at the end of the class. But our new thing today is called harmonic series and p-series, and this is one of the easier sequences and series things. It's also one of the more commonly asked things. I'd mentioned last class, but I know a lot has happened since then with all the snow and being out of school and stuff. But this College Board Unit 10 has 15 sections, so I'm going to divide them up into groups of 5. So every 5 sections we will pause, review, and quiz. So this is the 5th one. So this will be our last new thing before our first quiz this semester. On Wednesday, I'll remind you and give you some extra practice of what will be on the first quiz. And then this week is a B week, so I won't see you again until what?
Wednesday?
Wednesday. You guys know there's no school Monday, right? Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So 5-day week, but then you get a 3-day weekend. So anyway, so you'll have a full calendar week to study if you need to. I know I've been saying this, but this is, as we're moving into this last part, it is super important that you don't feel like you're falling too far behind on these, especially after a day of review on Wednesday. We need to be all the way caught up, because things like the P-series test that you're going to learn today, and the integral test from last class, and the other ones that we did, the nth term test, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's what's going to make up your first quiz of the semester, and you want to do well on it. But when we start getting into some of the later sections, they're basically the same stuff with a twist. So alternating series is like dealing with where it alternates plus or minus. And then it's going to be one of the other tests, one of the first ones we learned about. So your basic knowledge on these first 5 sections are going to play an important part when we get to the 6th and 7th and 8th sections in this unit. Okay, so P-series test is when it is written like this. So again, most of these tests are not too difficult to apply. Generally, there's a rule or two you have to memorize to be able to say whether they converge or diverge. But you also have to know when to use each test. Eventually, when all these questions are scrambled up, you've got to recognize this is a P-series versus this is a integral test versus this is an nth term test versus this is a geometric series. And so we got to put some thought into what P-series and harmonic series looks like. So if you have 1 over n to some power, that is considered a P-series. And if P is bigger than 1, it's going to converge. And if P is less than or equal to 1, but greater than 0, the greater by 0 is part of the definition. If it's something negative, then we would work, it wouldn't be a P-series, we'd work it some other way. Okay, and then I'll tell you what harmonic series is. This one needs to be memorized. Must be memorized. The harmonic series is the P-series where P is 1. So sometimes it's written like this. Sometimes it's going to actually start to write out the sequence 1 over 1 plus 1 over a half, or I'm sorry, 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3 plus dot 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 dot. The harmonic series always diverges. So this is one that's now going to start popping up all the time. Anytime you want the summation from n equals 1 to infinity of 1 over n to the first. That's what we will refer to as the harmonic series, and it diverges. So 100% will be on your AP exam, and there's no work to be done. You just basically recognize it's harmonic series, and so it diverges. And this is the whole thing. Now, of course, some questions are going to try to put a little bit of a twist on it to make the questions a little bit harder. Maybe make you have to rewrite some of this to make it look like this form. It might not be in the form automatically. But basically, if it's in this form, we're going to call it a p-series. We're going to use the p-series test. If p, the exponent on n, is bigger than 1, it converges. If it's less than 1 but greater than 0, it diverges. And if it's this harmonic series, it diverges. That's all the new information today. So, a couple quick examples, and then I can let you start trying and seeing which ones you struggle with. So, this type of question could be on your AP exam, and you need to recognize this looks like the p-series format. Since p is 3, and 3, so p is greater than 1, this guy is going to converge. Okay, in question 2, this is also a p-series. Again, it's just not automatic. You got to do one tiny little step. What would p be in question 2? Very good, 1/2. So think of square root as an exponent, and then because p is less than or equal to 1, it diverges. Now, I know that you can, to say whether it converges, you're thinking about p is greater than 1. To say it diverges is p is less than or equal to 1. But if you just add p-series test by p-series test, that's all you would ever need to write for an FRQ also. I stated what I thought p was. I stated that I thought this was a p-series test. I said that p was less than, equal to, or greater than 1, and then that's where my answer came from. So even an FRQ, what I wrote down for those two questions is really all that's needed. Okay, so one type of twist that they could put on it is what value of k would make these series converge. So this is 1 over n to the p. P in this problem is 2k minus 5. And for this to converge, I need p to be what?
Greater than 5 times.
Okay, you're too far ahead of me. Just because it's p-series and I want it to converge, I need to make sure that p is less than or equal to or greater than what?
Greater than 1.
Greater than 1. So this is p, the exponent on n. So figure out where that's greater than 1. So solving an inequality is just like solving an equation, except there was one difference. Right, if you multiply both sides by negative or divide both sides by negative, you have to switch the direction of the inequality. Okay, so same idea here, but again, you got to rewrite it a little bit before it's in the format n to some power. And that some power is what we're calling p. So n to the first times n to the 2k, how can I write that as n to something? How can I combine those together?
N to 2k plus 1.
Very good. When you multiply things with the same base, you add the exponents. That's the one you do all the time with x times x. You're multiplying things with the same base, so you add the exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. Multiplying things with the same base, add the exponents. And then if I wanted to converge, I want it to be greater than 1. Subtract 1 from both sides, divide both sides by 2, and that would converge as long as k is greater than 0. Okay, and then one more example, and then we've got a short little list of things to keep in mind because some of this is going to trickle into our current work. Okay, so this one is not in that format that we need. To do the P-series test, I need the numerator to be what? Okay. And how do I make the numerator become 1? Good. So divide this by n to make it be 1. Divide this by n and divide this by n. If you're going to divide one of the things by n, you've got to divide all of the things by n. Now, just a second ago, I said that if you multiply things with the same base, you add the exponents. So right here, I'm dividing things with the same base. The base is n, so I can subtract the exponents.
Mr. Thompson,
Yep.
why couldn't you just multiply by 1 over n and then it cancels?
Well, sure, if you want to multiply this by 1 over n, that's the same as dividing by n.
Then you would still have to multiply it out to the things in the denominator?
Yes. You can't just multiply the numerator by something and not the denominator. Like if I take a number fraction, if I multiply the numerator and not the denominator, all of a sudden these aren't equivalent. 3/5 is not the same as 6/5. If you multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, 3/5 is equivalent to 6/10. So I wanted to multiply, basically what I did is I multiplied by n over n, so it's like I'm multiplying by 1 and I'm not changing the size. Or I did here, I guess. And then when you distribute that, so yes, you're right, I'm sorry. I'm doing 1 over n divided by 1 over n. That way it's like I'm dividing by 1, and then when I distribute, this gives me the 1 that I need. This gives me 4k n to the 4k minus 1, and this gives me 5 over n. Okay, now what about this? Because this isn't quite P-series format, but why should we not really be worried about this having a big impact on our problem? Right, so when n is 1, sure, this is 5, but you're going to infinity, so this is basically, compared to everything else, it's just not important. You're talking about such a small value. Even 5, in the grand scheme of things, is just next to nothing. So that allows us to focus on this part. This part just doesn't change enough to make it worthwhile. Now we can say this is the P-series format. P, which is the exponent on n, has to be greater than 1 if you want it to converge. Add 1 to both sides, divide both sides by 4, and do I need to switch the inequality sign there at the end? No, because only if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative. So that guy would converge as long as k is a half. So 3 was a little bit quicker to be the correct format. 4, we needed to use an exponent rule, and 5, divide everything by n, and then use some exponent rules. So again, you have to really know and be ready to apply the stuff at the top. Know what a P-series looks like, know what values of P make it converge, diverge, recognize the harmonic series so that you can quickly say those diverge, and then that's really it. So that's why P-series is one of the easier and nicer ones, easiest to work with. Now, I am going to suggest at the end of class, after you finish this up and try to finish up the handout from last class, the 2 or 3 questions we didn't get to, I do have on the agenda, I'd recommend that you start looking at some of your past assignments. So again, this is stuff that's going to make up your next quiz. Remembering what a geometric series is, how to know if it converges or diverges, and what it converges to. Harmonic series, we just talked about for the first time up there. P series we just talked about for the first time up there. And in your notes, you might want to look back at what is the ends term test, how to use it, what does it tell you, and then when you finish up those last couple questions on last class's assignment, make sure you're paying attention to when can you use integral test and how is it supposed to tell you when it converges or diverges. So this isn't necessarily important for next class because your quiz is not next class, but you can see that even this is not my handout, I didn't make up this handout, but even they are reminding you, make sure that you're keeping up with this stuff because this stuff is going to get recycled and reused quite a bit of times. Sorry? Yeah, so this week, if you came in late, this week is a B week. So I will only see you today and Wednesday. Today is practicing this. Wednesday will be reviewing and making sure you know what's fair game for the quiz. Friday is a B day. Next Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and you have that day off. So next Wednesday will be our first quiz. Okay, but if you would, go ahead and start on this, try it out. Because I think you will need less help with these than some of the others that we've done, I did go ahead and post the solutions to the website already, because if you really catch on quickly, then you need to be making sure that you're doing it right while as you power through and not be doing a bunch of stuff wrong. I also shared the answers to 51 from last class, so when you go back and try to finish up the last couple of those, make sure you check them. And then obviously if you guys have questions, I'd like you to ask, especially if it's holding you back from doing other questions. But on Wednesday, the first thing that I will do is I will take questions from this 52 and I will take questions from 51. So if you just have a question or two, you're welcome to save that for Wednesday. But if you've got something you're not understanding and it's keeping you from doing several of these, then you need to go ahead and ask sooner rather than later, please. And again, this is not super long here, 16 questions in total. So, and some of these shouldn't take you much time at all. But let me know how I can help.